gates across the track. You stand where the long shadows lie, with no intent of looking back. Just a silhouette against the burning line. The day is folding like a tired hand, dropping the weight of what we saw across a stretch of cooling sand. Every battle that we daily fought dissolves into the salt and hazy brine. Lingering in the last light of evening, where the gold turns to a bruise. There is no use in grieving for the things we had to lose. The mercury is falling slow into the hollows down below. The clock upon the courthouse tower has lost its grip upon the hour. The dust is settling on the leaves, and no one stays and no one leaves. We are suspended in the glow. We swallow trace of final arc before the great tide washes in. We wait here on the edge of dark to see where the endings might begin, or wherever silence starts to grow. Lingering in the last light of evening, where the gold turns to a bruise. There is no use in grieving for the things we had to lose. The mercury falling so into the hollows down below. Lingering in the last light of evening, where the gold turns to a bruise. There is no use in grieving for the things we had to lose. The mercury is falling slow into the hollows down below. Lingering in the last light of evening, where the gold turns to a bruise. There is no use in grieving for the things we had to lose. The mercury is falling slow into the hollows down below. The street sweeper has left a corner lean. The shadows stretch like fingers long and clean. The copper moon is pinned against the gray, while the heavy coat of work is cast away. The metal pole stands stiff against the cold, with stories that the day has never told. A moth begins its frantic crooked dance, drawn into the circle by a chance. The windows of the shop are locked and barred. The paving stones are jagged and they are hard. I pause to see the yellow halo bloom, a sudden spark inside the gathering gloom. Under the first lamplight of the night, the pale glow finds a way to hold us tight. Between the fading red and coming deep, before a town has settled down to sleep. A single spark is all it takes to show the crooked paths where lonely wanderers go. The clock inside the tower strikes the hour. The darkness has a slow and steady power, but here the circle keeps the ghost at bay. In this small patch of artificial day, the gravel crunching underneath my boot, the silence taking hold and taking root. signify the rain. I'll lean my back against the painted wood and find a stillness fairly understood. The stars are high and back behind the veil. The wind begins to tell a weary tale. One beacon flickers on the edge of town to watch the heavy sun go sliding down. Under the first lamplight of the night, the pale glow finds a way to hold us tight. Between the fading red and coming deep, before the town has settled down to sleep, a single spark is all it takes to show where crooked paths, where lonely wanderers go. Under the first lamplight of the night, the pale glow finds a way to hold us tight. Between the fading red and coming deep, before the town has settled down to sleep, a single spark is all it takes to show the crooked paths where lonely wanderers go. Street lamps flicker like a dying breath as the steel giants cast their long gray shadows. The early shift is rising from the shallow rest, while the day dwellers drift into their gallows. The traffic light turns a bleeding shade of red upon the faces of the ghosts who leave the beds. I lean against the cold brick of the pier to see the skyline stretch its weary knuckles. The fog is heavy and the harbor air is clear. Under the weight of all these iron buckles, the janitor is sweeping up the wasted hours from the sidewalks beneath the glass and stone towers. Oh, the concrete lungs begin to heave and swell in that violet hour when the clock strikes none. It's a lonesome tale that the tired pavements tell, when the moon is gone and the work has just begun. Yes, the world is turning inside out tonight, watching the city wake up in the fading light. A newspaper is dancing down a hollow lane, chasing a wind that hasn't found its name yet. The subway grates are breathing out a silver rain on a gambler who hasn't lost his final bet. There's a silence louder than 1,000 drums, waiting for the morning that never truly comes. The brickwork starts to sweat a salty dew. The gears are grinding in the belly of the beast. Every window hides a different shade of blue, from the golden west to the bragging east. The concrete lungs begin to heave and swell in that violet hour when the clock strikes none. It's a lonesome tale that the tired pavements tell, when the man is gone and the work has just begun. Yes, the world is turning inside out tonight, watching the city wake up in the fading light. All the concrete lungs begin to heave and swell in that violet hour when the clock strikes none. It's a lonesome tale that the tired pavements tell, when the moon is gone, our work has just begun. Yes, the world is turning inside out tonight, watching the city wake up in the fading light. Long shadows stretch across the yard. The oak tree holds the amber in its hand. We stand where the light begins to fracture, watching the fever drain from the land. There is no use in reaching for the helm of a coat that is already slipping away. The copper roof is losing its luster now. The birds have gone quiet in the brush. We spoke of everything but this departure, while the valley fell into a holy hush. The windows blink like tired eyes, facing the onset of the coming grave. Saying goodbye to the golden hour, when the honey turns to lead upon the tongue. The ghost of the warmth is all we gather. The final bell of the day has been rung. The mercy of the glow is saying fast into the hollow where the stars are hung. Time is a merchant with a heavy debt, trading a fire for the cooling ash. We spent the wealth of the afternoon in one long and radiant flash. Now the borders of the world are blurring, and the silence makes a sudden dash. The grass is drinking up the purpling. The path we took is drowning in the shade. You turn your collar up against the change, remembering the promise that was made. The dust motes that dance like tiny kings have fallen where the light began to fade. I can hardly see the outline of your face, only the memory of the gilded rim. The horizon has swallowed the last coin, and a cup of the earth is full to the brim with the darkness that doesn't ask for a leaf, making the vibrant things look hidden slim. Saying goodbye to the golden hour, when the honey turns to lead upon the tongue. The ghost of the warmth is all we gather. The final bell of the day has been rung. The mercy of the glow is fading fast into the hollow where the stars are hung. Say goodbye to the golden hour, when the honey turns the lid upon the tongue. The ghost of the warmth is all we gather. The final bell of the day has been rung, and the mercy of the glow is fading fast into the hollow where stars are hung. A violet haze descends upon the valley floor. A bruised horizon leaning on a heavy door. The sheep are huddling under shadows of the pine, while we are tracing ghosts along a crooked line. You told me once that color is a trick of sight, a fleeting bridge between the morning and the night. Now every hill is drowning in a lavender ink, and we are closer to the edge than we might think. Lost in the purple evening, where the maps all fade, wrapped in the heavy velvet of the silent shade. No direction left to borrow from the cooling sun, only the stillness telling us that we are one. Lost in the purple evening, lost the clocks unwind, even the dusty roads of yesterday behind. The amethyst there is thick enough to hold our breath, beyond the reach of vanity and fear of death. The iron gates are resting in the garden wall. The bells of evening stagger, then they start to fall. We never needed reasons for the way we stray into this gloaming where the depths of light are paid. The wild grapes are hanging heavy on the vine. The stars are waiting for the moment just to shine. But for this hour we are ghosts without a name, dancing slowly in the dying of the flame. Lost in the purple evening where the maps all fade, lapped in the levy velvet of the silent shade. No direction left to borrow from the cooling sun, only the stillness telling us that we are one. Lost in the purple evening as the clocks unwind, loving the dusty roads of yesterday behind. The amethyst is thick enough to hold our breath, beyond the reach of vanity and fear of death. The glass is cold against the tip of my nose, watching the midnight train gather speed as it goes. My ghost is floating on the dark side of the pain, merging with the silhouettes and the steady falling rain, tracing the lines where the silver meets the gray, looking for the parts of me that I threw away, staring at my reflection in the window, waiting for the stranger inside to let go. The city is a blueprint drawn in chalk and bone, lying standing in the crowded light, feeling all alone. The world is turning circles on a rusted iron gear, and the man behind the glass is the only one I fear. My eyes are hollow wells where the street lamps drown, watching the heavy breath of this weary, tired town. There is a crack running deep through my frozen cheek, the kind of silent damage that makes a spirit weep. I reached out a finger to touch the hollow frame, but the shadow in the corner wouldn't say my name. The tracks are concrete sheds its fever beneath a pale and shifting sky. The heavy gold of August has bled the reservoir dry. I stepped out to the porch rail to watch the shadows tilt and bend. I knew the glass was falling and the drought was at an end. It touched the dusty elm leaves and it rattled in the screen. The sharpest edge of autumn that the valley's ever seen. Oh, the first cool night breeze is cutting through the haze, turning out the lanterns on the longest summer days. It's a long-awaited stranger coming knocking at the gate with a message from the mountain like the Caesar couldn't they? Yes, it's pulling back the curtain on the secrets that we keep when the iron earth is cooling and the crickets go to sleep. I saw the neighbor's shutters banging loose against the white. There's a smell of distant pine needles traveling free the night. My collar's turned against the chill that's waking up the road, while the harvest moon is rising with its heavy silver load. No more praying for the thunder or the clouds to break the seal. Now the world is turning steady on a different kind of wheel. Oh, the fence cool night breeze is cutting through the haze, turning out the lanterns on the longest summer days. It's a long-awaited stranger coming knocking at the gate with a message from a mountain that the season couldn't wait. Yes, it's peeling back the curtain on the secrets that we keep when the iron earth is cooling and the crickets go to sleep. Oh, the first cold night breeze is cutting through the haze, turning out the lanterns on the longest summer day. It's a long-awaited stranger coming knocking at the gate with a message from the mountain that the season couldn't wait. Yes, it's pulling back the curtain on the secrets that we keep when the iron earth is cooler and the crickets go to sleep. The yellow light pools like heavy honey on the pavement. I am counting the cracks where the weeds try to creep. Shadows stretch out long and thin like skeletal fingers, pulling at the hem of a coat that has seen better seasons. The traffic hum is a low growl from a beast over the hill, while I remain pinned to this circle of artificial ember. Standing under the street lamp alone, watching the moths batter their wings against the glass. The iron hole is cold against my spine, a silent witness to the ghosts of the midnight past. I am the only anchor in a sea of drifting gray, waiting for a dawn that feels 1,000 miles away. The wind kicks up a discarded fly from the gutter. It dances a frantic jig before falling dead again. There is a hollow ringing in the copper wires overhead, a frequency for the lonely and the unattached. No footsteps approach from the north or the south, just the steady drip of a leaking bite nearby. My My pockets hold nothing but lint and a rusty key to a door that might not even fit the frame anymore. The fog begins to curl around the base of the pedestal, turning the concrete into a pier above the clouds. I lean into the stillness until it becomes a physical weight, a heavy blanket woven from the absence of sound. The bowl flickers once, then regains its sickly strength. A pulse of electricity in the veins of the city. I am caught in the crosshairs of a singular beam, a solitaire figure in a frame without a name. Standing under the street lamp alone, watching the moths batter the wings against the glass. The iron cold is cold against my spine, a silent witness to the ghosts of the midnight past. I am the only anchor in a sea of drifting rain, waiting for a dawn that feels 1,000 miles away. Standing under the street lamp alone, watching the moths batter their wings against the glass. The iron cold is cold against my spine, a silent witness to the ghosts of the midnight past. I am the only anchor in a sea of drifting rain, waiting for a dawn that feels 1,000 miles away. The dust settles on the windowsill, a quiet pulse inside the wooden frame. The kettle hums until it stands still. The shadows lose the jagged name, wrapped in orange lamp glow. A heavy quilt of amber on the floor. The clocks are ticking fast or slow, it doesn't matter much anymore. Golden tides are rising in the hall, bending over cracks upon the wall. There is a mercy in the fading day, when all the tangled colors melt away. I watch the tea leaves sink and swirl beneath a halo made of burning wire. The edges of a frantic world are softened by this artificial fire. No need to chase the fleeing sun or trace the map of where we ought to be. The long and weary race is done. The stillness is a fasting quiet sea. Golden tides are rising in the hall, painting over cracks upon the wall. There is a mercy in the fading day, when all the tangled colors melt away. Upon a wall, there is a mercy in the fading day, when all the tangled colors melt away. Are surrendering their glow to the heavy velvet descending on the street. A quiet departure from the day we know. As the final sparks retreat into the shadow of the great unknown. The dust has settled on the windowsill, and the clock has lost its urgency to climb. Every shadow is leaning perfectly still, watching the slow erosion of the time. The gold is turned to a softer shade of gray. Beneath the weight of the cooling air, we are drifting away from the noise of the day, without a single word or a heavy prayer. The lanterns all surrender in their glows, the heavy velvet descending on the street, the quiet departure from the day we know. As the final sparks retreat into the shadow of the great unknown. There is no thunder to announce the end, only the sinking of a tired ember sun. The horizons are starting to buckle and bend, folding the deeds that we have left undone. Then mercury is falling in the glass tonight, as the outlines at the valley start to blur, relinquishing the ghost of the dying light, moving closer to the stillness that we prefer. The lanterns are surrendered, their glow to the heavy velvet descending on the street, a quiet departure from the day we know. As the final sparks retreat into the shadow of the great unknown. Surrendering their glow to the heavy velvet descending on the dream, a quiet departure from the day we know. As the final sparks retreat into the shadow of the great unknown. The iron wick glows in a pool of rusted gold, while the shadows climb the peeling wallpaper, tracing the outlines of a story left untold. In a room where time is a slow burning vapor, the street outside is a dry and hollow bone. Not a footstep cracks the silence of the pavement. I sit here nursing this hour all on my own, waiting for a solitary engagement. But the light is a witness that never tells a lie, burning a hole through the velvet of the sky. Just a wick and a wire, keeping the dark at bay, waiting for the sun to steal the ghost of the day. There is a truth in the flicker of a dying flame that the morning wind will never have to name. Just a man and a beacon in a long heavy road, carrying is the only thing clear. But the light is a witness, the levita's a light, burning a hole through the velvet of the sky. Just a wick and a wire, keeping the dark at bay, waiting for the sun to steal the ghost of the day. Hey, there is a truth in the flicker of a dying flame that the morning wind will never have to name. Just a man and a beacon and a wrong heavy road, carrying the world of his violent heavy load. While the gravity of the dark pulls the ocean tide, I call our names that the daylight would never dare to own. A private gospel spoken to a kingdom built of stone. And the sparks are drifting light is from the ground. The choir, silent witnesses where no melody is found. The gravity is thin, but the history is heavy and deep. Vow that the waking world is far too tired to keep. Traveler speaking through the iron bars, searching for a resonant pulse among the jagged stars. The atmosphere is a veil that filters out the lies of the neon-colored hollows under commercialized skies. I am measuring the distance by the corners on my skin, waiting for the cosmic gate to let the wanderer in. No echoes return from the void that stays so still, just the shivering of the cedar on the crest of the hill. The constellations shift like a puzzle with no hand, an intricate architecture that I try to understand. My breath leaves a ghost on a transparent divide between the warmth of the lamp and the wilderness outside. There is a map etched in the void above the roof, a testimony of the infinite in a solitary proof that every burning ember has a story it must tell before it dies forever into the bottomless well. The mercury is falling and the shadows start to blend, where the reach of the mortal hour comes to a sudden end. But the connection is wired through the optic nerve, following the path of a long and lonely curve. And the sparks are drifting light years from the ground. Horror of silent witnesses where no melody is found. The gravity is thin, but the history is heavy and deep. Vows that the waking rulers far too tired to keep. One lone traveler speaking through the iron bars, searching for a rhythm and pulse among the jagged stars. valley below. Heart deep and the secrets the monuments won't show. While every window plays a different shade of gray, I'm tracing patterns where the weary shadows play. The silence is a heavy coat upon my back, watching the world drift off the beaten track.
The traffic veins have bled, their fever dry underneath the bruised and hollow sky. There is no thunder in the engines anymore. just the gentle breathing of a distant shore.
I see a kitchen light flickering on the hill, where time has found a way to standing still. No one is calling out across the empty street, just the sound of evening admitting its defeat. Those embers blinking in the valley below are keeping secrets the monuments won't fall. While every window paints a different shade of gray, I'm tracing patterns where the weary shadows bite. The silence is a heavy coat upon my back, watching the world drift off the beaten track. 1,000 lives are tucked beneath the slate, resigned to slumber and the hands of fate. The iron gates are locked against the breeze that moves like ghosts among the leafless trees. I do not seek the cold or the frantic pace, just the honest stillness of this lonely place. The maps are folded and the ink is pale, watching the embers tell their wordless tale. Those embers blinking in the valley below are keeping secrets the monuments won't show. While every window paints a different shade of gray, I'm tracing patterns where the weary shadow flayed. The silence is a heavy coat upon my back, wafting the world drift off the beaten track. Stars and embers blinking in the valley below are keeping secrets the monuments won't show. While every window paints a different shade of gray, I'm tracing patterns where the weary shadows play. The silence is a heavy coat upon my back, watching the wild drift off the beaten track. On a canyon of black wax, a dusty static cracks against the silence. The cloud cans are frozen at the summit, while the floorboards hold their breath. The turntable spins a slow heavy circle, dragging the past through a narrow needle eye. The shadows stretch across the faded rug, the grooves are deep as a winter road. The ghost of a singer wakes in the corner, shaking off decades of sleep and grime. Midnight is a heavy velvet curve, falling on the scratched heart of the song. The truth is hiding in the pops and hisses, a holy friction that keeps us moving on. Spinning cold from a worn out edges, where the midnight never ends. Prayer. The jacket is frayed like an open sleeve. Every skip is a heartbeat missing its mark. Every crackle is a spark in the dark. We are listening to the architecture of loss, built on a spinning plate of heavy stone. Midnight is a heavy velvet curtain, all in on the scratched heart of a song. The truth is hiding in my pops and hisses, a holy friction that keeps us moving on. Spinning gold from a worn out edges, where the midnight never ends. Midnight is a heavy velvet curtain, falling on the scratched heart of a song. The truth is hiding in the pops and hisses, a holy friction that keeps us moving on. Spinning gold from a worn out edges, where the midnight never ends. The ceiling fan carves out a hollow space, tracing every line etched upon my face. I'm peeling back the layers of the day, watching all the polished versions fade away. The clock is ticking like a heavy heart, tearing the quiet and the dark apart. I told myself I was doing fine, walking a straight and narrow silver line, but the ink is blotting through the thin disguise. I can see the hunger burning in my eyes. There is no one left to witness or to blame, just the flickering shadow of a dying flame. Now the truth comes crawling through the floor, demanding things I cannot ignore. The weight of what I meant to say before the sunlight washed the ghosts away. It is heavy and it is raw and it is real, the only sharp edge I can truly feel. The pride I carried in the afternoon, withered beneath the pale and taunting moon. I am trading in the gold for simple air, repeating every word I should have said. The vanity has vanished from the room, leaving only silence in a gloom. I am looking at the person in the glass, waiting for the bitter mood to pass. But the clarity is cutting like a blade, showing me the debts that won't be paid. A man is only as tall as his regrets, in the hours when the rest of the world forgets. Now the truth goes grinding through the fog, demanding things I cannot ignore. The weight of what I meant to say before the sunlight washed the ghosts away. It is heavy and it is wide, it is real, the only sharp edge I can truly feel. A midnight oil is burned to a shallow gray. Gravity pulls the marrow from the day. I'm tracing patterns on a frozen window pane. Waiting for the blood to find its way through the rain. The map I drew is nothing but a tangle of wire, and every bridge I crossed was just a funeral pyre. But there is a flicker in the hollow of the night, a stubborn pulse resisting the absence of light. It does not come from the sun or the street lamp glare. It is a heavy, thick and neon moving air, finding warmth in the darkness where the shadows grow deep. A secret the shivering city is trying to keep. There is a flicker in the hollow of the night, a stubborn pulse resisting the absence of light. It does not come from the sun or the street lamp glare. It is a heavy, thick and neon moving air, finding warmth in the darkness where the shadows grow deep. A secret the shivering city is trying to keep. The prophets on the corner are selling ice. They offer up salvation at a ruinous price, but I have found a sanctuary beneath the iron floor, where the wind no longer rattles at the bolted door. The blackness is a blanket, not a shroud for the blind, leaving all the jagged edges of the world behind. Because there's a flicker in the hollow of the night, a stubborn pulse resisting the absence of light. It does not come from the sun or the street lamp glare. It is a heavy, thick and neon moving air, finding warmth in the darkness where the shadows grow deep. A secret the shivering city is trying to keep. There is a flicker in the hollow of the night, a stubborn pulse resisting the absence of light. It does not come from the sun or the street lamp glare. It is a heavy heat, thick in the unmoon air, finding warmth in the darkness where the shadows go deep. A secret the shivering city is trying to keep. There is a flicker in the hollow of the night, a stubborn pulse resisting the absence of light. It does not come from the sun or the street lamp glare. It is a heavy, thick and the unmoving air, finding warmth in the darkness where the shadows go deep. A secret the shivering city is trying to keep. shift clicks a rhythmic hollow sound, while the rear view mirror swallows up the view. The clock on the bankside, frozen time, counting the pulses of the engine bay. We are drifting through the cracks of the grid, where the sun never dared to find its way. Rolling through the veins of the iron giant, a solitary cruise through the hollow frame. No destination carved upon the glass, just a body without a face or a name. Searching for the silence between the gears, while midnight air begins to claim its state. A stray dog watches from a darkened porch. The traffic lights are blinking at the void. There is a beauty in the rusted gates, and all the plans the daylight has destroyed. The clock on the bankside, frozen time, counting the pulses of the engine bay. We are drifting through the cracks of the grid, where the sun never dared to find its way. Rolling through the veins of the iron giant, a solitary cruise to the hollow frame. No destination carved upon the glass, just a body without a face or a name. Searching for the silence between the gears, while the midnight air begins to claim its state. Rolling through the veins of the iron giant, a solitary cruise to the hollow frame. No destination carved upon the glass, just a body without a face or a name. Searching for the silence between the gears, while the midnight hour begins to claim its state. The pendulum halts its heavy swing. The dust settles on the copper wire. I count the pulses of my swing, staring at the embers of the fire. The shadow leans against the kitchen door. The kettle holds its cold metallic breath. Footsteps that I heard an hour before now vanish in a valley still as death. The clock is stripped of every gear. The map is torn across the fold. There is no witness left to hear the secrets that the floorboards hold. In the silent hour of the night, when the marrow turns to stone, the moon bleeds out a hollow light and leaves the marrow to its own. The silent hour of the night. The ink is drying in the open well. The letters fade before they hit the page. A ghost is ringing an invisible bell, locked inside a wooden rib cage. I am looking for a jagged piece of glass to cut the static from the heavy air, watching the parade of phantoms pass without a single word to spare. The horizon is a charcoal line, the heavy curtains hide the street. I am waiting for a private sign where the dark and distance meet. In the silent hour of the night, when marrow closer zone. No one is wrong and no one is right in the silent tower of the night. Static hum vibrates against the plaster skin. Electric violet spills where the day has been. The window pane is a filter for the restless grid, counting every secret that the daylight hid. Cobalt shadows stretching long across the floor, tracing patterns leading to a locked away door. Phosphor glow leading through the heavy weave. Synthetic dreams are all that I cannot believe. Mercury flickers dancing on the ceiling fan, mapping out a future without a steady plan. The air is thick with the scent of ozone rain, drowning out the pulse of a dull and steady pain. Fluorescent veins pumping through the hollow space. Artificial sunrays painted on my face. Chemical halos burning in the dead of night, washing out the gravity with a frantic light. Surrendering the silence to the buzzing glare, breathing in the radiation loading in the air. Transistor heart beating in a plastic chest. The spectrum flickers, refusing any kind of rest. Prism splinters cutting through the velvet dark, waiting for a friction to ignite a tiny spark. Each hue is a frequency vibrating on the wall, catching every phantom before the shadows fall. Digital horizon is expanding in the tightest room. Chromatic fever rising like a strange perfume. Spectrum shift from amber to jagged jade, watching how the natural colors start to say. Fluorescent things pumping through the hollow space. Artificial sunrise painted on my face. Chemical halos burning in the dead of night, washing out the gravity with acidic light. Surrendering the silence to a buzzing glare, breathing in the radiation floating in the air. Fluorescent veins pumping through the hollow space. Artificial sunrise painted on my face. Chemical halos burning in the dead of night, washing out the gravity with the frantic light. Surrendering the silence to the buzzing glare, breathing in the radiation floating in the air. The ceiling fan spins a slow circle through the dark, while the radiator hums a tired song against the wall. I am counting the cracks in the plaster where the shadows hide, watching the moon drag its pale light across the floorboards. The clock on the nightstand is a heavy heart beating out the time. Every tick is a question I forgot to answer when the sun was up. Now the silence is a mirror, reflecting the man I thought I knew. but the glass is warped and the frame is starting to lean. All the hours between the dreams and the cold waking light are the only moments when the truth comes out to play. I am weighing my soul on a scale made of old regrets, finding the balance between the promises kept and the ones that fray. Everything looks different when the world is fast asleep, and the only witness is the cold air in my lungs. Of friends who drifted like autumn leaves, and the bridges I'd crossed only to watch them settle into the stream. Success is a heavy coat that never quite kept out the chill. Ambition is a ladder leaning against a cloud that moved away. My hands are empty, but they feel heavy with the weight of years. The ink on my skin tells a story that the chapters forgot to name. I am just a passenger on a train that forgot its destination, listening to the steel grinding against the memory of the tracks. All the hours between the trees and the cold waking light are the only moments when the truth comes out to play. I am weighing my soul on a scale made of old regrets, finding the balance between the promise kept and the ones that fray. Everything's different when the world is fast asleep, and the only witness is the cold air in my lungs. All the hours between the dreams and the cold waking light are the only moments when the truth comes out to play. I am weighing my soul on a scale made of old regrets, finding a balance between the promises kept and the ones that fade. Everything is different when the world is fast asleep, and the only witness is the cold air in my lungs. The clock is ticking like a rusty gear, drawing circles round the shadows and the fear. A cold current stumbles through the leaves underneath the roof where the heavy silence breathes. The lamppost is flickering out on the lane, watching the descent of the midnight rain. I watch the clouds gather their heavy gray, chasing the remains of a long and hollow day. The pavement turns into a polished black stone, while the wind speaks in a tongue I've always known. No maps are left to lead me back home again, just the steady drumming of the midnight rain. It is falling on the house again, the graves, the kind of restless water that no one ever saves. It washes out the tracks where the heavy wagons roll, and tells the kind of stories that never should be told. From the high clouds down to your thirsty grain, everything is drinking of the midnight rain. It is falling on the house again, the graves, the kind of restless water that no one ever saves. It washes out the tracks where the heavy wagons roll, and tells the kind of stories that never should be told. From the high clouds down to the thirsty grain, everything is drinking of the midnight rain. The stray cat is seeking out a dry wooden floor, while the water built a barricade against the door. The memory of the sun is a flickering spark, drowning in the velvet of the rising dark. I am leaning my forehead against the glass pane, lost in pale and thin face, with the rivers overflowing in every hidden place. But now there is a peace in the drowning of the light, in the secret motion of the middle of the night. Forget every promise and every tangled chain. There is only the music of the midnight rain. It is falling on the houses and the graves, the kind of restless water that no one ever saves. It washes out the tracks where the heavy wagons roll, and tells the kind of stories that never should be told. From the high clouds down to the thirsty crane, everything is drinking of the midnight rain. It is falling on my houses and the graves, the kind of restless water that no one ever saves. It washes out the tracks where the heavy wagons roll, and tells the kind of stories that never should be told. From the high clouds down to the thirsty crane, everything is drinking of the midnight rain. Falling on the houses and the graves, the kind of restless water that no one ever saves. It washes out the tracks where the heavy wagons roll, and tells the kind of stories that never should be told. From the high cloud down to the thirsty crane, everything is drinking of the midnight. Everything is drinking all the midnight. The silver dust settles on the windowsill, while the clockwork of the day winds down to nil. I watch the iron fences dissolve in the shade, the heavy noise of the avenue begins to fade. You wrap the velvet blanket tight around your chin, waiting for the quiet tide to come rushing in. The constellations are sketching lines across your face, mapping out a kingdom in this hollow space. No more heavy lifting for your tired eyes, just the slow rotation of the midnight sky, singing a starlight lullaby for the restless mind, leaving the jagged edges of the world behind. It is a soft humming from the distance unknown, a melody carved in the milky jump snow, singing a starlight lullaby till the shadows part, to steady the beating of your wandering heart. The garden sleepers were breathing in the dew, the old oak is filtering the darkness for you. Every bitter word spoken in the heat of the glare evaporates like a ghost into the freezing air. The Milky Way is a road that leads to nowhere fast, where the thirst of your dreams cannot run the last. The planets are spinning on a needle of glass, watching the parade of the heavy hours pass. There is no gravity to pull your spirit down, high above the flicker of this concrete town, singing a starlight lullaby for the restless mind, leaving the jagged edges of the world behind. It is a soft humming from the distance unknown, a melody carved in a milky gemstone, singing a starlight lullaby till the shadows part, to steady the beating of your wandering heart. color settles like velvet on the spine of an unread book. A sanctuary card from the silence I took. Outside the windows, the traffic fights a jagged war. But I am buried beneath the floorboards in the door. The shadows stretch their heavy limbs across the rug, wrapped in a heavy wool that gives a steady hug. Hiding in my cozy corner, away from a blinding light, tucking the edges of the day into the pockets of the night. No footprints lead inside this hollow space of blame, where the walls forget my face and the air forgets my name. Just a steady hum of stillness keeping me whole, the only architecture that can house a tired soul. The porcelain cup is stained with a ring of fade and steam, a fragile border between the waking world and a dream. I watch the golden motes drift through the slanted gray, ignoring every urgent thing the strangers have to say. There is no clockwork ticking to measure out the cost. I am quite content with being permanently lost. Like the storms rattle the iron gates in the park, I am weaving a kingdom out of the softest dark. The noise of the street is a ghost that cannot find the key, while the peace of the timber is setting my spirit free. Hiding in my cozy corner, away from the blinding light, tucking the edges of the day into the pockets of the night. No footprints lead inside this hollow space and flame, where the walls forget my face and the air forgets my name. Just a steady hum of stillness keeping me whole, the only architecture that can house a tired soul. Forget my face and the air forgets my name. Plus the steady hum of stillness keeping me whole, the only architecture that can house a tired soul. The dust settles on the windowsill of the mind, where the silhouettes used to dance so clear. The ink is thinning on the pages I can't rewind, and the faces lose their edges in the mirror. I reach for the shape of a season long gone. There's a phantom weight in the hollow of my palm. Like a map where the roads have all turned gray, the storms pass, leaving a heavy kind of calm, while the names of the streets simply drift away. I am standing in the doorway of a house with no key. The twilight is a thief with a gentle hand, taking back the treasures that we never planned. It's a slow retreat of the tide from the land. Fading memories in the night, like a lantern running out of spark, losing every spark of golden light to the quiet hunger of the dark. The story softens until the ink is white, fading memories in the night. I remember the heat, but I forget the flame. I remember the walk, but I forget the destination. The clock is a gambler, playing a rigged game, reducing the grandest vision to a brief sensation. Just a thumbprint on a window pane of glass. The twilight is a thief with a gentle hand, taking back the treasures that we never planned. It's a slow retreat of the tide from the land. Fading memories in the night, like a lantern running out of spark, losing every spark of golden light to the quiet hunger of the dark. The story softens until the ink is white. Fading memories in the night. The violet sky is bruised and thinning at the seams. Copper light recedes through the gaps in the window frame. I watch the dust motes dance in their final slow walks before the gravity of the dark pulls them to the floor. Heavy clock in the hallway has forgotten its steady pulse. Your silhouette is a man drawn in fading charcoal lines. The tea in a porcelain cup has abandoned its heat. We are shedding the weight of the names we used to carry, letting the heavy expectations of the sun dissolve away while the crickets sharpen their small silver blades outside. Gently falling into night, where the heavy iron of the world turns to velvet. No more frantic searching for a place to stand, just a descent through the layers of the cool air until the quiet claims the marrow of our bones. The garden gate has ceased its rusty metal complaining. The roses are drinking the ink of the coming shadows. I can no longer distinguish your hand from the empty space. We are becoming the very fabric of the stillness here, a slow migration away from the noise of the living. Memory is a ship that has finally found a harbor. The anchors are dropped into the deep blue of the evening. We don't need the fire to tell us where the walls are. Our eyes have adjusted to the absence of the glare. The soft erosion of the day is nearly complete. Gently falling into night, where my heavy iron of the world turns to velvet. No more frantic searching for a place to stand, just a descent through the layer of the key air until the quiet claims the marrow of our bones. Let the colors bleed into a single shade of peace. Let the frantic heartbeat mind a slower tempo now. There is no ledge to fear in gradual decline, only the wide embrace of the dark that knows us well. The surrender is the only victory left to claim. Gently falling into night, where the heavy iron of the world turns to velvet. No more frantic searching for a place to stand, just a descent through the layers of the cool air until the quiet claims the marrow of our bones. Gently falling into night, the long slide into the copper skin of a kitchen clock. I am the only witness to the light fading across the floorboards and the wall of my socks. No shadows are reaching out to grab at the hem of his quiet garment I have sewn for the day. Just the amber glow of a single tallow stem, keeping the weight of the crowd far away. This is the golden hollow where I breathe, a sanctuary built of dust and slow grace. Nothing to prove and nothing left to leave in the softest corners of this empty space. The fire is a heart that beats without sound, folding in silence like a blanket around. The windows are blind to the rush of the street. The glass keeps the cold from the marrow of bones. I find the entire world beneath my feet, in the cracks of the tiles and the gray paving stones. It is a kindness to be forgotten for a while, to let the names of the seasons drift by without the demand of a mask or a smile, under the roof of a private sky. I trace the grain of the heavy oak table, reading the rings of a life spent standing still. I am finally steady and I am finally able to drink from the pitcher on a windowsill. There is no ghost in the hallway calling my name, no ticking engine to measure the cost, only the steady dancing of the small flame and a map where the roads have all been lost. The air is thick with the scent of drying cedar. The pulse of a room is a slow heavy drum. I am the follower and I am the leader of the peaceful empire I have become. This is the golden hollow where I breathe, a sanctuary built of dust and slow gray. Nothing to prove and nothing left to leave in the softest corners of this empty space. The fire is a heart that beats without sound, folding a silence like a blanket around. The deep cobalt shifts its weight across the valley floor, while every heavy breath of wind holds back the day. There is a stillness that the sun can never borrow, a secret written in the silver and the gray. Before the first white bird shakes off the heavy slumber, before the shadow loses grip upon the lawn, the world is turning in a cradle made of wonder, and we are kneeling to the magic before dawn. The dust has settled on the highways of the restless. The clock is ticking, but the gears have ceased to grind. The mercury is falling like a feather on the water, leaving every bit of memory far behind. The oak trees lean their heads together in a quiet, discussing matters that no living soul has known, while every pebble on the path is glowing softly like a jewel that the night is overgrown. The deep cobalt shifts its weight across the valley floor, while every eddy breath the wind holds back the day. There is a stillness that the sun can never borrow, a secret written in the silver and the gray. Before the first white bird shakes off this heavy slumber, before the shadow loses grip upon the lawn, the world is turning in a cradle made of wonder, and we are kneeling to the magic before dawn. hearts are filling slowly with the liquid gold that fills us through a dream. There is no judgment in the cold inviting air, no heavy burden for the tired can behold. Just a mercy of the sky that has no limits, and a story that has never yet been told. The deep cold ball shifts its weight across the valley floor, while every heavy breath the wind holds back the day. There is a stillness that the sun can never borrow, a secret written in the silver and the gray. Before the first white bird shakes off the heavy slumber, before the shadow loses grip upon the lawn, the world is turning in a cradle made of wonder, and we are kneeling to the magic before dawn. The deep cold wall shifts its weight across the valley floor, while every heavy breath of wind holds back the day. There is a stillness that the sun can never borrow, a secret written in the silver and the gray. Before the first white bird shakes off a heavy slumber, before the shadow loses grip upon the lawn, the world is turning in the cradle made of wonder, and we are kneeling to the magic before dawn. Frozen in a copper glaze, shadows stretch long across the cracked pavement. Time as I watch someone dropped in the gutter, while the moon hangs heavy like a leaden coin. The mercury in the glass forgot how to climb. I saw the ghosts of yesterday trading secrets behind the shuttered windows of the closed pharmacy. No one is moving toward the pale horizon. We are anchored to the concrete in the silence, waiting for a sun that misplaced its own keys. Staying in this eternal night closed, where the ink of the sky never fades to gray. We are harvesting light from the dying bulbs, holding our breath till the stars turn to clay. Staying in this eternal night glow. The compass is spinning but the needle is bent. We are the tenants of a permanent dusk, trading our diamonds for a moment of stillness, watching the world shed its brittle husk. Staying in this eternal night glow. The compass is spinning but the needle is bent. We are the tenants of a permanent dusk, trading our diamonds for a moment of stillness, watching the world shed its brittle husk. Staying in this eternal night glow. The radio is humming that tune with no name, frequency drifting through the thick velvet air. The calendar's a blank and the ink is all dry. There is no map for the travelers here, just a map of the veins in a withered leaf. The wind is a traveler who lost his direction, rustling through the pages of an unread book. Every doorway leads back to the same empty hallway. The mirrors have forgotten how we used to look before the shadows decided to take a precedence. Staying in the secret of night glow, where the ink of the sky never fades to gray. We are harvesting light from the dying bulbs, holding our breath till the stars turn to clay. Staying in this eternal night glow. The compass is spinning but the needle is bent. We are the tenants of a permanent dusk, trading our diamonds for a moment of stillness, watching the world shed its brittle husk. Staying The radiator hums a low silver tune while the shadows stretch across the wooden floor. I watch the pale reflection of the moon climb the frame of our old bedroom door. The tea is settled in the porcelain cup, steam vanishing like a memory on a wind. I gather all the broken pieces up before the midnight watch can begin. Your breathing is a steady velvet tie, pulling the restless hay far out to sea. There's nowhere left for a ghost to hide in this quiet space you carved out for me. I fold a wool blanket against the chill, a simple kindness in the deepening gray. The clock upon the dusty window seat has finally taken the heavy hours away. Close your eyes and let the kindness settle deep, where the softest rivers of the spirit flow. There is a promise that the lucky keep, a gentle lantern everywhere you go. The world is jagged but the core is bright. Rest your head against the coming gold. Good night with a warm heart tonight, in the sanctuary that our spirits hold. Do not envy the wandering bird. The stones do not tremble at the thunder. There is a healing power in the unspoken word that keeps the weary soul from going under. It is the anchor when the gale begins to blow. It is the spark inside the winter grain. A quiet garden where the wild lilies grow, washed by the mercy of the fallen rain. I turn the light down to a single spark, leaving the clutter of the city far behind. There is a friendship found within the dark for those who seek and those who truly find. The bitter edges of the struggle fade into a tapestry of amber and of pine. In the shelter that the two of us have made, your hand is resting safely inside mine. Tomorrow brings